the podcast episode with Tom Ford. We might as well just go straight into
Yeah,
it,
that's the
innit?
most natural start we've ever done, I
I
think.
know, yeah. That's what I've been practicing all this time. But we've got Tom Ford with us, Birmingham native. It's an
Hello.
0121 special.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking music and everything like that. But we're going to start at the beginning, as we usually do, with how you got into guitar and just music in general, Tom.
I mean, I guess I have like a creative family. So my mum's an actor, writes. She's not a musician, but she likes music.
Yeah.
But she's like very creative and spent a lot of time at a theatre that she worked at. And a lot of the other actors and people involved are like, there's loads of people that are like musicians as well. So there's always like creative people everywhere. And then my dad plays guitar as well. I didn't grow up with him around so much, but I did see him and I saw him play a lot and I was aware that he was like a musician. But I actually started on piano when I was about 4. There's a piano at my dad's house. I used to play it, and then he bought me a little keyboard. I took lessons for a bit. Played in assembly at school.
Yeah.
I learned how to play hymns.
Both hands.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's like it was really good. It's a big thing. I had these piano lessons with a boogie woogie piano player that was kind of like Jules Holland when I was really young, and he was a friend of my mum's from the theatre, so it's like this big creative hub. And he just taught me like basic chord harmony, like 1, 4, 5, 6, and then like pretty much all the hymns are 1, 4, 5,
That's
6.
basically boogie woogies. Oh,
Yeah, so like I learned.
Yeah.
Then I could like do the hymns in assembly when the teacher that did the piano wasn't in.
You got all the girls then?
Nah.
Oh, shit, no.
None. No. I mean, it wasn't that very, like, it's not really good kudos playing hymns in the school.
No, it's not, is it? I mean, yeah.
It's better just to be better at football.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
When
you put it like that.
But yeah, I did that for a while. And then I got three albums for like my 6th birthday, I think, and it was like What's the Story, Morning Glory, or Definitely Maybe. I can't remember. The one with Wonderwall on. Maybe is that Definitely Maybe.
I've made like
Maybe.
a conscious decision to like never get into Oasis.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I know which one you're.
Yeah, the one with like Can't Look Back in Anger and Wonderwall. I got that. I got Park Life by Blur. And I got Fat of the Land by Prodigy, which is not like a guitar album, but there was guitar on it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was just like, I want to play guitar. Like,
Yeah.
The piano sucks. Like, I don't know.
What'd you do? Dash the piano or like?
Yeah, I just stopped. I stopped having lessons. Someone taught me at my mum's theatre a little riff on the guitar. And I showed my dad next time I saw him and he was like, oh, you play guitar now? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, my dad's like a classic middle-aged man with like loads of guitars. I think he's got like 50 guitars.
Oh, sick.
It's just like, that's the vibe.
Yeah.
Pub rock, like 10 Telecasters.
Yeah.
Like, no.
There's no difference. Just like different colours.
But like loads of Strats and tellies and like, all the different things. And so he's always had surplus guitars, and he gave me like a Frankenstein Strat with like one humbucker in the bridge that he like.
That's kind of
it had like a motorbike decal on it that said Dr. Ford. It's like the least coolest thing ever. No.
Oh, right.
That's another story. He lied about having a medical degree so he could get a doctor's car park pass.
I rate that.
That's that's where the nickname came from. But yeah, he gave me this Strat, and I just switched. But I didn't have lessons, so I stopped my piano lessons, and then started like asking all his friends, anyone that I met that played guitar. Like the piano teacher that I had a band, and like I was just like bugging his guitarist. I'd go around, instead of having lessons anymore, I'd go around to their band rehearsals, and it's in his garage, his mum's garage. And I just bugged the guitarist and just like watch the guy on guitar and like be like, how are you doing this? How are you doing that?
Oh, sick.
And that's kind of how I got into it, really. And then I hurt my leg. I did play football, and then I couldn't walk for a year when I was in like year 4,
Yeah.
at junior school, and it was just like, I just play guitar all the time then.
Yeah. Worked out. I mean, you've got a career now. So
Yeah.
the stars have aligned.
Yeah, that kind of took over then, I guess, when you start playing football. At what point did it become like a serious career move? Like we know you were at one point ended up at Berkeley. So how did all of that, start happening?
So I mean, so from when I started playing, I mean, it was really good having my dad about. and his whole connection in like he plays like pub rock, reggae, all that stuff. He toured a lot in the 80s and the 90s with like these kind of bluesy southern rock bands and stuff. There's like, there's all these different circuits of music that have their own like sustaining things, and he was very active in that. And it's weird, like you get all like those blues guys that like no one's ever heard of, yet they tour all the time and make loads of money and like survive. So he's kind of doing that, and but as a result, it just meant that I was exposed to all these musicians, and basically I just wanted to play all the time. So by the time I got to senior school, this is after I'd had my year off walking, and like I kind of stopped playing football, and I was just like guitar everything, buying music whenever I could, buying guitar magazines. I had a few bands that I tried to set up with friends that like failed miserably because we're kids.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, and it's just like riff salad. So like none of the songs make sense. It's just like loads of unrelated riffs, time signatures. Oh, the first band was called the Sea Monkeys, and it was just me and this girl I knew who had a drum kit for Christmas. And we made a cassette recording on an old cassette player with a mic. It was nonsense, and like I remember drawing the artwork with a biro, and then so I was always playing, and then at secondary school I just basically asked my head of year in year 8, like, can I play every assembly at the start and at the end? And then like I met my friend Seb, who was a drummer. So in year 7, basically, just hung around the music rooms, and like I met my mate Seb. I still work with now and then. Great drummer, and he was playing drums one day, and it was like I had my guitar, and I was like, oh, let's play. So we're playing, and then there's no bass player for a while, so it was like me and him, and then a keys player.
Yeah.
So we used to do like intro music when everyone came in and everyone left, and we did it every single week. We'd like literally go from the music department, bring all the stuff down on a trolley, set it up, and like go back. And like to me it was like, well, I want to play, I want to perform. And like so I did that. I had some more bands at school. I had a band called Forecast when I was in year 9. Of course, everyone just called it Foreskin.
I just spell it though, like with number 4.
No, it was because I was really into Weather Report at that time.
Oh,
there's the album Heavy Weather. Oh, so I was like in my head it was cool, but it wasn't. But we did like Stevie Ray Vaughan tunes, but the more like fusion-y side, like the more chord changes one, and like I convinced the kid to start playing bass. And that was like in year 9, and then at that point my dad came and saw me play with like a talent show or something, and he was like, oh, do you want to come and sit in on some of my gigs? So I did, with some of the older people. That was when I was in year 9. And I basically learned all his set, and then he was just like, I don't want to play with this band anymore, can you do the gig? So I just started doing gigs with like these adults, and it was just covers and that. It was like pub, like as I said, very much like this weird like reggae, soul, pub rock circuit thing. I just started playing regularly with these like older people, and like I learned a lot. There's a really good bass player called Colin Peters in Birmingham. He's like a gospel guy. He used to do all the pop stuff. I used to live in London, and like I met him through that, and he like can I swear? Yeah. He like fucking roasted me, like because he's the kind of guy that's like, if he sees potential, he'll just like go for blood, because like it's like, criticism's really, constructive criticism's hard to take to start with, but people only give it you if they think that it's going to make you better, and they think there's no point. So the people that never get criticism constructively are the people that probably people think, well, there's no point in giving them criticism because they're not going to listen, or they're not going to get better anyway. So he was really like, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, you need to sort this out. And it was just, it was really good learning. And I think by the time I got out of school, I was doing gigs for money. I'd already like experienced that. So it wasn't really a thought that it was like not gonna make something out of music. And it was good as well, because that was alongside doing originals bands. So like the original stuff, I never had to worry about like money. There's never like make or break kind of thing. It was like, well, I can always just go and play my guitar and get paid somewhere somehow.
But you started listening to like Weather Report at quite a young age then. So is that like, when did the jazz side? Because by the sounds of it, no one else in your family or anything like that to introduce you to jazz, I guess?
No, I just so basically when like this, it's like Spice Girls and Macarena and like
Yeah.
Casper Slide, all that stuff.
Yeah.
School disco. It went from that, and I loved that music. Don't get me wrong, I'm not even shy about that. To like Oasis and Blur, and then of course like Eminem and all hip hop, and then we keep going, and then I was like checking out Hendrix and all the guitarists, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Yngwie. It's like this natural progression. You just because I just was like, what I'd hear something, I'd be like, what's that? What's going on there? I used to buy the guitar magazines as well. So like one week it would be like the solo from Purple Rain or the solo from Get the Funk Out by Extreme. And it's like, I'll try and learn it. So like there's this whole thing. And then pretty early on, I think it was more through the hip hop thing. It's like I started hearing this jazz stuff, and my dad used to buy me like loads of hip hop albums like Mobb Deep, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Dr. Dre. He bought me The Chronic 2001. And like start hearing this like
just
chords,
space for
and these samples and stuff, and I'm just like, where's that coming from? And then so I used to just like ask my dad, like, what's this? Who's this? And he'd be like, I'll get you. He'd either talk to one of his friends and get like a CD off them, like a CDR, and like with the jazz thing, he was just like, it was quite early on. He gave me like a Django Reinhardt thing, and he's like, this is like a guy. He had a cassette. He's like, check this out. And then he also had a Miles Davis cassette, and he's like, I never really listened to it. It was like weird second quintet.
Slept on it,
yeah. It was like, but it's quite like free late 60s Miles, right. So it's like really out. So that was like my reference for jazz. But I just like loved it. I just like early on just was like, this is so sick. And then I was just begging my mum to take me to gigs, and we went to like Coventry Jazz Festival and saw some gigs. And then after I was just going through the CD shop, and I found like a Pat Metheny CD. It's just had him with his guitar. Yeah. And it was a trio album with Jacko Pastorius, and like I didn't know what it was. I just knew it had guitar on it, so I was just like, sick, I'll give this a go. Yeah, and it just blew my mind, and that's how I got to Weather Report. Because it was just like, who's this bass player? This is. And I showed my dad, and he was like, oh, that's Jacko Pastorius. He's in Weather Report, and then like it's just like this ongoing. I just was always looking for new
rabbit
stuff.
Hole,
yeah, and like this was. I think you could do it a lot quicker now with the internet, but like. I mean, I had the internet back then. It's like it was just a different
dial-up, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was a different deal. So it was very much was like finding stuff, taking chances. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how that happened. But yeah, I really like all kinds of music though. So
well, I think that was like, I mean, even in your set last night, you did a so you did like a little Joe Pass lick, didn't you? The Giant Steps lick.
From Q-Tip.
But was that the Q-Tip? Yeah, I was gonna say because. Q-Tip, Dilla sampled it for Q-Tip, didn't he? But then I was thinking, is he doing the Joe Pass? Like, it's the same.
Well, it's
thing,
essentially Joe Pass.
It is Joe Pass's sample, isn't it? Yeah. I was thinking, oh shit. I said to Joe, like,
yeah, it's just me clowning about. I think it's fun though to like show the truth about. I mean, like with stuff like that, it's like I think I have come from a very mixed background in music, and I don't shy away from where I've come from. So like the stuff with like. Like all the shred guys, like it's definitely them I play in. And then like I played a bit of Blackbird because it's funny, and I played a bit of Human Nature by MJ just because like I like that stuff as well. Why not? So yeah, I mean, I really truly like music. I think that's the thing. Yeah, that was like early on. Jazz just seemed like a logical conclusion because I was just like searching for all this stuff.
It's got everything in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of like where everything can come together.
I think that's the misconception you get though, isn't it? Because you get booked for a lot of like jazz venues and stuff, but yours isn't. I mean, it's hard. Like it is jazz, of course. There's elements of it, but then you've got like you got Simon Jr. spitting bars. Yeah. And you're all trading solos still, but there's very much that hip hop influence which. You don't expect at a jazz venue, I guess. Yeah,
it's a weird one. I'm still trying to find my place within the music industry, especially with my music, because it very much is like, I mean, on paper and like the recorded music, which might be out by the time this.
It probably will be. Yeah. Your first single will be.
Yeah, so you'll have all heard it. Like, it's the recorded music is like somewhere between like indie and hip hop. but then I play it live like a jazz gig. And that's the thing. It's like,
Right.
so that's the thing to balance. It's like, I'm trying to figure out where I fit, especially like with audiences and crowds and venues.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a difficult one because it's like, it's very much a jazz gig, but then it's very much not a jazz gig.
Yeah.
But then can I play on a bill with 4 bands that are like, just like, you know, like indie rock bands?
Yeah.
Can I do that? I think so.
I reckon so. I mean,
Yeah.
when you play at the jazz venues, like everyone's kind of like this, aren't they? Like it's
Yeah.
very much like. I mean, that's just
It's
typical.
very polite. It's
Very so formal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too formal. Like it feels weird sat down.
Yeah.
Like at a lot of these venues,
Absolutely.
but it's like, I mean, I feel like jazz naturally is something you kind of move to without knowing as well. So
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of sat down venues, but
No.
having said that, the set was sick yesterday, of course.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a weird one. I think this is just like a natural thing in the music industry of like now more than ever, we're at a state where like everything has to be like compartmentalized. So like genres and subgenres and like everybody wants to like pigeonhole everything.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult because I was talking actually, a friend of mine called Tim Kellett. He was the piano player in Simply Red, and he wrote like Holding Back the Years and all that stuff. I was at his studio the other day, and like we were just chatting, we were just hanging out, we weren't working, and we were talking about all this stuff. And I was just saying how like in the past, you could kind of get away with like, I mean, the term rock in the past was so loose.
Yeah.
You know,
Anything with drive on it, probably.
yeah, but even like the Beatles were essentially like, you could argue at some points they're a rock band, but at some points are they a pop band? What are they?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like,
Well, Helter Skelter's meant to be metal, isn't it?
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't, I think in the past you could kind of like move around without like people being like, yeah, why are you doing that now? Whereas now it's very much like, it's like I want to hear like Drake do like a full on indie album. Because he has elements of it, you know,
Yeah.
like Hold On, We're Going Home's kind of almost an indie tune, or like Passion.
Yeah.
Passion Fruit is almost an indie tune, but then it's just like he still feels like it's like, but it has to have like trap hi-hats.
Got to have
and
this
stuff.
like
And it's
production.
like I wish people would take more chances. But I think like now more than ever, the industry's like, it wants to know who and what you are, like defined.
Yeah.
And I'm not about that. I'm just kind of like, I don't want to define myself beyond like, you either like the music or you don't, and I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what I'm going for.
No, I think that's an
I
interesting.
think that a lot of the people that you work with as well and like collab with are like in the same boat. Like and I think that's what's really interesting. People will see that when the single is out. It's out now. Go and check it. But so you say you were playing these, covering for your dad in this band. I assume that's like late teens.
I was about 13 when I started.
13. Wow. So you like, I do want to talk to you about some of the people that you've worked with, and some of the people that like obviously you've worked with like Robbie Moore and Delta Ortman. They're people that I know as well. But you went to Berkeley. How did that happen? And was that, I assume that's around 18, 19?
Yeah. So basically, so I didn't have formal lessons on guitar at all. And then in year 10, my dad was working, when I was in year 10, he'd started working for like a stage rigging company that does all festivals and gigs. He'd like unpack the vans, get his like roadie and stuff, but he'd put like the sound systems and build stages and stuff. And like the summer between year 9 and 10, he was like, oh, do you want to come to like Reading and Leeds and like Glastonbury and all those, but you have to work. But like, because I was underage, I shouldn't be doing it anyway. He's like, you can pay and you can come and watch all the bands, but you have to go and like this. There's a really cushy job on a flatbed truck where you basically took bands from the main stage to the second main stage and like little bits of their gear. Because the second, like if you're at a certain level, you can't bring all your back line, you just use so it was just like taking bands that just had minimal stuff on this flatbed with this old guy over, and then watching bands, and like I got to see Radiohead and like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I watched Red Hot Chili Peppers with like the Hives and Queens of the Stone Age and Foo Fighters, just hanging out with them. So just like back, and like I was a 15-year-old kid, and so I did that summer and got paid, and I was like, this is sick, and everyone's crazy, and I was like meeting people. I got like Chad Smith's bracelet, he gave it me. I got like one of his packs of Marlboro Reds. I like just all this stuff, like John Frusciante's vegan chocolate, which was like gross because it's in the old days.
Yeah, I was gonna say like vegan stuff's only recently gotten good.
Yeah, this is like bad. And yeah, like I did it the next year, and then I started in year 11. I was doing that as well as doing gigs, and then I started doing like the shows, like arena shows. Like, so I did Blink 182's tour and stuff, and it's just like, this is great. This is I'm not going to sixth form. Like, I'm just gonna do music and like do this on the sides, fund it, and then like I finished school and I worked all of the summer full time. And then by the end of the summer holidays, I was like, I'm going to sixth form. Like, fuck this.
Yeah,
it's like broke my
back.
Yeah, broke my back. It's hard work, you know. And like the cushy jobs that I started with, because it was like, oh, it's Stuart's son. Like, look after him. He's only young. Like, just, you know, give him the easy jobs. All of a sudden, it's like, you've been doing this long enough now. Like, then it was like, yeah, like, you know, lift this like 2-ton huge lighting rig with like 3 other guys, and it was just like, I can't do this. So I applied for college really late. I went and did a music BTEC in Stratford. And then me being me, same thing happened at the end. I was gigging a lot then, like with like older bands, like Functions, Pub Rock, all that stuff. Had my originals band. So I was making money and like got to the end of college, hadn't applied for uni. I was like, I'm not going to uni. I don't need to. Like uni, like, why would I bother with that? Like and then I did a year of working and I was like, fuck this. I need to go
You
to
did it
uni.
again.
Yeah. So I did look at like Birmingham Conservatoire and all that stuff. But basically, I really got into Hiromi, the Japanese pianist.
Right.
It's like fusion pianist.
I think I've seen her.
She was big at the time.
Yeah,
She's not so big anymore, but at the time it was like taken over the world. And her guitarist at the time was a guy called Dave Fusinski. He plays like a double neck with a fretless and a 7-string. And he's like jazz guy, and he's like Middle Eastern Arabic stuff as well. And like he teaches at Berkeley, so I was just like, I have to
go meet him. You gotta go.
I have to. And I ended up living in his apartment for a bit. Like I studied with him a lot, and like just ended up being like quite good friends. He was like a good mentor for me. But that's the way the Berkeley thing came from. And I just like saved up all my money. You know, did my audition, got a place, got some financial help. And, did that for a few years.
Yeah. And then came back to Brum?
Well, you were in Brazil for a bit, didn't you?
What's that?
You were in Brazil for a bit as well.
No, Berlin.
Oh, was it Berlin?
Yeah, that was then. So I went from going back to Brum, spent like 6 months in Brum, and then like moved to Berlin because Kurt Rosenwinkel lived there. I thought it'd be like a good vibe. It didn't work. Like just drank too much. Just didn't do anything. Just like I practiced a lot and like got drunk a lot and didn't really do anything. And then came back to Birmingham like broke, and started playing jazz all the time. With the Birmingham scene.
We haven't even mentioned that Tom's been on the channel before.
Oh yeah, with Kurt.
With Kurt, which came out a few weeks ago. That's actually, I think it's like the fifth most popular interview with Kurt Rosenwinkel.
I think so, yeah.
As of today.
Yeah.
It's doing really well. But anyway, yeah. So you came back to Brum, broke, as you said, playing jazz. So, I mean, it seems like you had the busiest life, you know, going into, I assume 20s by the time you're back in Brum.
Yeah.
Early 20s. So where does the, like, you know, you're friends with, like, Ruben and, like, such a big name in the Birmingham scene and played with so many artists. When did was that when you came back, or was that from before?
No, that's when I got back from Germany.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I had a rehearsal at Birmingham Conservatoire on a Saturday, and but Ruben used to do Junior Conservatoire, which is on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And I think he was in year 11 then, so I think he was like 15 when I first met him. So yeah, I was like 21.
Okay.
I think no, he would have been 16. Yeah, I was 21. I think he's 5 years younger than me. And I got there early, and I'd set up, and I was just practicing, and then this little kid like stuck his head around the door, and he's just like, yo, what's that you playing? Yo, show me that.
Straight
like,
Brum accent.
Jumped on the keys, and then like I was just like, oh, you know, and we introduced each other, and I heard him play, and it's just like, wow, he's sick, you know, like he was amazing even back then, and I kind of befriended him, and I said to him, I lived in the Birmingham city centre then in a flat with 2 other like jazz musicians, and I was just like, you know, like, what are you doing later? Do you want to come and hang out, listen to some music?
Yeah.
Check. I was like, I'll show you some stuff I'm listening to. So he came, and then like in his last year of it was when he was in his sixth form. It was his first year of sixth form. He was basically just staying at my flat all the time,
Yeah.
and then like sometimes getting up for sixth form in time the next day. He's just staying on my sofa, and then sometimes just not going.
Yeah.
And his parents were just like, his mom still hates me. She loves me, but she's still
'cause
like,
yeah.
But yeah, like we just hung out a lot and like did some gigs together early on, like just weird function gigs. We did a load of like workshops for kids, playing like Party Rock Anthem,
So,
like in schools.
Yeah.
If you can imagine
inspiring a generation.
that. Yeah. And then he came to London for Trinity and like still worked. Did some session stuff with him before the whole Sam Smith thing happened. We worked with some different artists, and that's how I know him. I just like since the first day, I'm like really key on like networking and building relationships.
Well, you're like, that's the thing. So he's part of one of your core lineup now, but it's changed a couple of times in the last couple of years, I guess, since you've been sort of working towards your solo career. But you've also got Nathan Shingler drums, Daisy George bass, Parthenope on the sax, and then Simon Jr. of course on the mic. So how was it like? Were you looking for like particular qualities and stuff like that, or was it just like as long as everyone vibes?
I've got a big thing about like the people I play with. I need to like have a good personal relationship with them off the stage. It's really important for me, especially when it's like playing my music. And it's just like it's been it has to be natural. Like I think all these things can't be forced. Like you can force things when they are when it's like a money gig or something, you know, like session people.
Yeah.
It's like there's no emotions involved really.
It's just business, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I think I just like me and Ruben. I mean, like Ruben's the person that inspired me to make my own music. He's the one that was like, when's Tom Ford's record coming out? When are you doing it? Like, come on, man. So this was like 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And he was like, it's time, you did it. Come on, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
And he was just like, and when I started, he was like, yo, I beg you, let me play keys for you and stuff. So I was like, yeah, cool. Although, early on, there was like a mixture of stuff and like, you know, people aren't always available.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but this is like, I don't do all of his gigs. I can't always.
Yeah, that's
it's just the way it is. But yeah, Ruben was a natural fit. Daisy, I'd seen Daisy play in London before and like, we just started chatting on Instagram and I was just like, you know, I'd never found a bass player I felt good with really, especially because I play like most of the bass on my own music myself when I produce for people and like write. I'm usually playing bass as well, and like we just met up and had like an impromptu play with Sam Jones, Nubia Garcia's drummer. Trio and like just sick, and it was like cool. And so like Daisy was like, would you want to do my band? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, you know, do you want to do mine?
Yeah, cool.
So it's that was that. And then I mean like Parthenope is great. She was the first person to transcribe my solo on So Cool and upload it on the challenge.
Shit.
That's how I found out about her, 'cause she uploaded it and I was just like,
mad. I didn't
realize she did that.
Yeah, she was like the first person. She like
was she already
it.
quite a big name by then, or was this when she was like really new?
I think she had like a healthy socials following still.
Yeah.
She's quite like good and
She's very
switched on.
active.
Switched on with with that stuff. But yeah, like just stayed in touch with her and like she's played on one of the tunes that I'll release at some point. And that was just like really last minute before my Ronnie's gig this year. The actual Ronnie's gig, the real life one. I literally asked her the day before.
Oh, she mentioned it. Yeah, she said like she took the first solo as well.
Yeah,
of the night.
Yeah, and she'd never even been in the building before.
Yeah, which is kind of mad. Yeah,
it's kind of the way things should be, though. You know. But yeah, and it's great. It's a really good fit. And then the same with Nathan. Nathan started following me, and I saw that he played with Ashley Henry, and then he started following me around that time. And then I sent him a message. I noticed it was like, he said like Birmingham Conservatoire, like starting. I was just like, oh, you in Birmingham? And then he couldn't believe that I was in Birmingham and played with Chris.
Yeah, you don't have the strongest accent though, do you? So it's not the biggest giveaway, yeah.
But yeah, he was just, because I was like, yo, if you ever need guitar or anything, just hit me up. Like, you're playing sick. Like, it's cool that you'll be in Birmingham. And he was like, you live in Birmingham? I thought you played with Chris Dave. Like, don't you live in... LA, because the guys at Ronnie's had told him like, oh, check out Tom Ford, he's from Birmingham.
Yeah.
And like, and then like I played on his one of his singles. I was just like, and then
was that like I don't want to butcher the name, but it's like Jack Akita.
I played on something. I was just like, yo, if you want any guitar, just hit me up. It's all good. And then he started playing like since the live gig started again.
Yeah,
he started playing. I mean, I was playing with David Hodek, but he lives in Slovakia.
I mean, it's a bit of a trek, isn't it? Yeah.
Hodek's like, he's also an amazing drummer. And Jazz Kaiser I played with for one gig.
Yeah.
Who is also amazing. But she's like so in demand and busy, and Georgia Smith's drummer.
She does like Georgia Smith and loads of other big gigs as well.
So I'm trying to keep consistency with the band. That's the main thing.
I think Chris Dave's definitely someone I want to talk about, but this is in regards to your own music as well. Because I remember hearing like music like about before lockdown, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's very different to what I hear now, as in like it's evolved, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying you're doing the Kanye thing before Kanye did with like playing it to an arena or anything like that, and then tweaking it in between your live listening parties. But I'm guessing that's kind of how it worked, right? When you were like playing it live, and whether you liked certain bits, and then you sort of changed it before it got to record.
So I think you were at the first show.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember where it was.
Spotted Dog.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I ever played any of this music live, and that very much, some of it wasn't recorded at all. Some of it was a bit, but not really.
on the mic, and I can't remember who else it was.
It's Hodek.
It was Hodek,
Andy Bunting, Nick Judd on bass, and Chris Young on saxophone. Yeah, that was very much like like exploring what to do. And I do think like these days, like everything's like flipped because of like modern technology. We all have. I mean, even if you don't have a laptop, you can have GarageBand on your phone. Mm-hmm. So like we've all got the ability to like record music. Everyone has like, even my mom, that's the crazy thing. She's got a MacBook Air, so my mom like can literally make tracks if she wants.
Spit bars.
Yeah, she could literally just download Splice and like make like really like well produced sounding stuff with little effort. But the thing is I think it's like it's switched the way things work, and I think this is probably why Kanye did what he did. Because in the old days, bands would write material, or artists would write material and trial it and take it out on the road, and like they'd play it alongside their new stuff or their current stuff. It'd be like, we're going to try a new song now. We never really played it before, and like you could do it if you listen to like bootlegs of like the Led Zeppelin bootlegs, or even like the Jeff Buckley bootlegs. You can hear like the prototype versions of the songs before. And I like that way, because it's very much like, not only are you spending a longer time with the material, you're kind of letting it grow a bit more, and like you kind of lose a bit of control, but I think that's a good thing. So it's like people bring new things to the table. But we're very much in a world now where it's like, well, you can write, produce, and finish a tune in an afternoon with somebody, and then never play it live, and then it comes out 12 months later, and it gets 10 million streams 12 months later than that, and then it's still, that artist has still never performed it live, and it's just like, it's such a weird, I mean, that's where we're at, but it's like, for me, it's like, that's not what music is about. So very much with my stuff, it's been a case of playing, trying stuff out, finding the right people to play with. So yeah.
Well, Jeff was a great example of that, like you said, because like, you know, before Grace was recorded, he'd just go out, you know, just him and the guitar.
Yeah.
So like,
there's all the Shinae recordings.
Exactly. And
there's like the big box set.
Oh, we were listening to that on the drive down last time.
He's such a good guitarist as well. It's terrible. On that as well, those bootlegs from the coffee shop, it's like 4 discs. It's like really long, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can really hear his actual ability on guitar, which is like, oh shit, he can like.
Well, it's like, you know, he's like plays like a blues for like 6 minutes, isn't it? It's like straight, and it's just.
And his core melody playing is actually like
incredible. Yeah.
And not to forget, he's got like 5-octave vocal range. He's got some insane.
But he was a session guitarist before an artist.
He played in a metal band as well.
Did he?
Yeah. Some like pictures of him with long hair in LA with like pointy head stuff guitar. But he went to Musicians Institute.
In LA.
Yeah, for
Hollywood,
1 year. So yeah, but I like that thing. I like that way of like kind of, you know, seeing how people react to songs, and like it informs the decision to like how to finish them on record and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's like, I mean, this was, you were talking about it with a lot of like this transactional sort of relationship with his current music, and it's like it's even more like toxic or worse in like the biggest like pop sphere as well. And it's like when you've got these artists. I mean, look at Kanye's newest album, like how many features there are on it, and
Yeah.
like is it features for the sake, like it's features for the sake of it, more of like it's more of a business move in it than it
Yeah.
is like, oh, actually I really want to work with you and this song
Yeah.
has to have you on it, like. And
Yeah, it's just brands. It's
Yeah,
basically like
yeah.
brands. So like artists become brands, and like the features are like, you know, it's like a brand collaboration.
Yeah.
More than, I think. I mean, like it very much it is like this is where we're at. So I can't say that I'm not like a grumpy old man, and it's like, oh,
No,
this
the
is
game's a
music.
game, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it is where we're at, and like I'm very open and receptive to a lot of this stuff. And like on the Kanye album, a friend of mine, Sam Bosch, was one of the writers and producers
Yeah.
on Hurricane, and he's an amazing jazz piano player, and he's
Yeah.
such a good musician. And he's on like Kendrick stuff and like
He's
all
even
sorts
on
of stuff.
we've
Yackle.
hosted them Yackle stuff, yeah, that
Yeah.
they're from Brighton, aren't they? But yeah, I was like, oh shit, wait, Sam Bosch has done Yackle, a small band from Brighton, and then he's done Hurricane, which is like hit number 1 or something in the world.
Yeah, I mean Sam's quite. We just had a Zoom hang the other week,
Oh,
just
shit.
like drinking coffee. Well,
Where's he from? The States or?
yeah, he's from.
Okay.
Well, he lives in LA at the moment.
Yeah.
But he lived in New York for a while. He played in
Sick.
Avishai Cohen's band trio and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam's a beast, and like he truly loves music, and like that's the thing with that stuff. So there is like, it's like there is the one side which is the business side and the branding, but then there is
Yeah.
like actual serious music
Mm.
there as well.
Yeah,
It's a hard line. It's a hard balance. It's so difficult, and it's like the lines are so blurred. But this is what happens when you mix any creative art form with like big business and money,
Commercial,
and
yeah.
it just happens with everything.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
What about the Chris Dave connection? How'd that happen?
I get asked this so much because it's weird. It's weird, isn't it? It is
Yeah, yeah.
weird because I never imagined it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the tiny desk, you're the only white guy on that tiny desk. Is like, where's he come from? The UK?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just Birmingham, Acox Green.
Acox. Oh shit, that's not far from me.
So I was in LA with Ruben writing music for Ruben's first EP. He was still with Sam Smith then, and he had a 2-week break.
Yeah.
We'd written some stuff. So basically, like, to backtrack what happened, I like to give context in my
Yeah, no, go for it.
my
Go for it.
anecdotes go. So Ruben rang me up one morning out of the blue. I was walking my dogs, and he rang me up, and he's just like, "Yo, you in Birmingham?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yo, I beg you come around mine and like help me write my first EP. I need to stop doing Sam Smith, man. I need to do my own thing." And I was like, I was actually free, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, cool." And I was like, "But can you come to mine?" So he came round. We've got some pictures of it,
Yeah.
and like we wrote "What a Thing" off his first record like that afternoon at
Yeah.
mine,
Yeah.
and like did a demo in my bedroom, and it was good. And then like he was in town before he went back on tour with Sam for a few weeks, so we did some more stuff. We did a few more things, and then he was like, "Yo, I've got 2 weeks off in LA in August. Come through, we'll do some work." And I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I had gigs as well. I was really busy, and I just cancelled them all. And
Fair
like
play.
he was really kind. I mean, we're good friends, but he like gave me his air miles, so I got a really cheap
Oh,
flight.
shit.
And then me and him split an Airbnb halfway
Yeah.
in LA. And like the first day I got there, I landed. I did a gig with Delta Autumn in Oxford, went to Heathrow, flew to LA, like got there, I'm just like jet lagged. I rang Ruben, and I was just like, you know, "Are you at the Airbnb?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm at Chance the Rapper's producer studio. Come
Oh,
through.
shit.
I'll send you the address." No, he's like, "I'll get you I'll send you an Uber." So like straight away, it was like straight to there, working with Nate Fox, who is Chance's producer, really great guy.
Yeah.
And like Trap Money Benny shared a studio with him, and In My Feelings had just gone viral,
Yeah.
and like Scissors MD was there, and
Shit.
like there's just still people, and we're just working.
It's a bit overwhelming. That sounds like.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like straight away. It's just
Yeah.
like that is Los Angeles though, and then we're literally there for like 48 hours straight, just like working. And then we, you know, like the rest of the time I was there, we're working, we're doing stuff. We had like some sessions, we're hanging out, and then everything in between. At our Airbnb, we were trying to like work on Ruben's stuff more.
Yeah.
And then a friend of ours called Nick Littlemore, he's an amazing producer. He is the person behind Empire of the Sun, the Aussie pop band.
Yeah.
He's like a bit of a gatekeeper out there.
He did that Cinema Sounds with
Yeah,
Ruben, didn't he?
yeah. So Nick was like, we were hanging out with him, and he signed Capitol, and he was just like, oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll book Capitol Studio A because I get a massive discount. And I was like, I'll book it for the day. If you record for me for half the day, you can have the other half for you.
Sick.
So we're like, cool. And then Chris and Ruben had met in London and exchanged details and never really spoke since. And Ruben was like, yo, shall I ask Chris Dave? Because he lives here. And we were like, yeah, why not? What's the worst could happen?
Yeah.
And we did. And he was just like, yeah, cool. That's what Chris is like on a text. He's like, yeah, cool. What time? And then on the day, like Chris just wasn't answering his phone, and it was just like, oh no, yeah. And like Nick had a drummer on standby, and like, and then Chris just turned up.
Oh shit!
And like he walked in the studio. I mean, it's all a bit surreal. Like being in Capitol Studio A, it's like that's where Nat King Cole recorded, it's Beatles recorded, Rolling Stones. It was just like being there. Like Ruben had Nat King Cole's piano for the session, and like had this old Vox AC30 from the 60s that the Stones and the Beatles had used. It's just like, what the fuck's going on? Anyway, Chris turns up and he's just like, comes up to me and he's like, are you Tom Ford? I was like, yeah. And he's like, Ruben told me you drink whiskey. And I was like, yeah. And he was just like, yeah, we're drinking today then. He was just like, order a bottle. Like, and he got the runner guy to come over and he's just like, order a good bottle then. So I did.
Oh, in the studio?
Yeah.
Oh shit, okay.
And then we got drunk and just hung out all day. Just like, it's that thing, it's all about like, it has to be natural. Natural. And like for me, it was like instantly like, it was like, oh shit, it's Chris Dave. But like straight away, I'm like, actually, like there's the famous Chris Dave I remember as like somebody I didn't know. But this guy standing in front of me is also Chris Dave.
Yeah.
But he's like the kind of guy that I want to hang around with, and I feel like I'm having a good time with. And it's like no nerves, there's like, and then at the end of the day, he was just like, "Yo, what's your number? I need a new guitarist for my band."
Oh shit!
And that was that.
Yeah, and then you're on his tiny desk and you're gigging with him.
Yeah, and doing a bit of touring and stuff, and like doing his recordings. And Chris is like, I mean, he's like one of the coolest guys. Taught me a lot. Super nice guy, amazing musician. I think he's like the only true drum pioneer of his generation. Yeah, I think he's like one of the only like pioneers of instruments in his generation, like true pioneer that changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think he's one of the only ones.
And that's life changing shit, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, just that exchange of numbers is like, fuck.
Yeah, it's all the little things that add up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was cool. It's kind of surreal, but it's kind of good. And like, as I said, Chris is amazing.
So I assume, go on.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, I assume life on the road with those guys was just like insane.
Just drinking beer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like me and Chris like our whiskey. There's still always like, it's not like getting to the point where people are like passing out and stuff. There's a sensible limit.
Yeah, you're at that level.
Everyone stays within like what they know they can do.
Yeah.
But Chris, just fun on the road with that. Like his gigs are very open and organic. Very like there's a lot of space to like explore the material as yourself. Like Chris is very much encouraging like you to be you. Like at no part he was like, oh, Sharky did this, can you do that?
Playing like that's that gospel influence, I guess, isn't it? That's kind of very much that vibe.
And like jazz as well.
Yeah.
Like bring yourself. Don't worry about what other people did on this. Like be you.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. I love hanging around with those guys. Have a lot of fun with Chris and like Thad. Yeah. Thad's like so fun to be around.
Yeah.
And like
he's an insane bass.
Yeah, he's killing. He's killing, and he's such a cool guy and like so nice to hang around with. Like I really miss the one thing is the geographical thing. I really miss those. I chat to those guys quite often. I talk to Chris quite a bit, and it's just like I was supposed to go in late September, but I can't because of the travel restrictions.
The States is a bit of a
they're not letting in
sticky one. They're not letting in anyone.
No, not UK or Europe. You have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but like in the late October, I was supposed to be doing something, but it will happen
next year.
Next year.
I mean, we should probably talk about your new single that's coming out as well.
Oh yeah, that is out.
It is out. Yeah, I mean, because this year, which is with Poppy Judah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember the name of it now.
The single's just called Love You.
Love You.
Yeah.
Now I remember you mentioned it, or I think it was on like the Ronnie Scott stream from like last year or some point
Uh-huh.
in the last year. But it was a song about like when like it's like an intimate song about, well, I mean, it's called "Love You," for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like where you're in the same room with someone and like you don't know if the other person likes the
Yeah, it's
or
this.
not.
It's everyone goes through this. It's the moment when you know that you really like someone. That moment when it clicks and you're like, I want to go further.
Yeah,
And you know that they feel the same and they know that you feel the same. But then it's like, who blinks first? Because
yeah,
you know you have to have that conversation. So whether that conversation is like, so what is this? Are we like together now? You know?
yeah, yeah,
Or like even like saying the L word to somebody. It's like somebody has to do it first. You can't do
yeah,
it together.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like somebody has to take that first initiative. And the song really is about that. There's like that kind of, I think the main thing is like there's a slight doubt. We all have a slight
Exactly, yeah.
doubt.
Mm.
So the point of the hook in it is it signs off with basically like, if you love me in a way, then it's all right, which is basically accepting that it's just like, you know, if that person comes back and they're like, just don't feel the same about you.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of like, it's that acceptance. It's
Yeah.
almost coming to terms with like, you know, you might be in the friend zone
Yeah.
and it's like accepting it before. So it's like, you know, it's basically, yeah. But then there's the two sides. So the hook is me singing it, and that very much is like coming from this thing of like uncertainty, whereas Poppy's thing is like this assertive, like, no, I'm giving you all the signals. So like, just tell me
right,
what you
okay,
want.
okay,
And
that
I kind
makes
of
more
liked
sense
it
now,
because
yeah.
I liked the idea that like, you know, and I think it's true, like often in relationships, especially like early on, it often like with gender stereotypes, especially like men often are like, you know, we kind of, as a gender, I'm not saying we do, but like we paint ourselves as like the big like alpha males and like
Yeah,
we're in
yeah.
control and women are just objects or something. When like more often than not, like I feel that when it's like serious, like women are more in the driving seat than we are, and I
Yeah.
wanted to make a point of that because it doesn't like so many songs kind of in pop culture. Not so much now; it's changing, but in the past, it's like women are like fragile and like you have to do everything for them, and it's just like not true. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, at least in my experience, it's just like I don't feel like the one that's in control.
Mhm.
It's like it's very much the female often that's in
That's
control.
like you mentioned that doubt, isn't it?
Yeah, and
It
it's
really holds you back.
yeah, and I wanted it to be like that way round.
Mm.
I wanted it to be like the kind of woman in the driving seat because I think that's how it should be a lot of the time as well. I think men overstep their mark a lot with like any kind of relationships and intimacy, and I really think it should be like, you know, you see the signs from the other person, but like they, you know, you have to like be assured that those signs are there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then live we do it with me and Simon, and I like that thing as well because then
Yeah.
it's like a guy and a guy, and I think like it's good to have a love song that's like we do it live and like
Yeah.
still the same thing.
Yeah, it's still the
So-
same vibe.
Yeah, and I think it's
Romance
nice.
brewing.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to represent it from like from kind of that angle as
Yeah.
well because it's like, you know, some people change their lyrics to love songs when it's like at function gigs when it's like two girls singing or
Yeah.
like two men. They change the lyrics a bit. I'm like, nah, just do it. Just
Yeah.
like, why not? You know, why couldn't this be a thing?
Yeah.
It could be.
Well, I was thinking about that the other day with like Olivia Rodrigo stuff. I was like, you know, it's like lyrics about like some boy from high school. I'm not a nonce, but it's like it's just like, oh, it always feels weird, like, you know, when you hear those lyrics, but like even if the melody's catchy, everything else is like catchy. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of breaking that comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I guess with this song as well, like, I mean, clearly it's like the concept is very concrete with it. So was it something that you brought forward to Poppy, or was it
Yeah.
through discussion?
So originally the song, the very basic demo was me and Karma Kid, just kind of messing around before a session we had because we
Yeah.
were waiting for an artist to turn up, and it just like it was a really good thing to come out of like a little mess around, and I wrote the hook and then Sam messed about with some vocal stuff for the verse, and we just couldn't, like, we both went back from there and like tried to make this thing work. We just couldn't make it flow. We couldn't get the right things. But the hook was written, like I'd written those lyrics. I've still got the notes on my phone from the day. That felt really good. And then when it turned to like structuring it, and like when I got a better idea of what I wanted the song to be, that's when I went to Poppy, and I was very much like, I need like this other person. I need it to be an interplay. And I explained the concept, and she was just on it straight away.
That's sick.
And she came up with some lyrics and like sent me a voice note, and then we went and recorded them, and that was that. And it was like she like just got the whole thing. Like there was no like, didn't have to explain. I was literally like just explained it in like one sentence.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I get it.
Sick. That's sweet. I guess so that's your first single, then you've got your second single, I believe, is called Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's coming out in November, which should be in a few weeks after this episode comes out. But a little bit about that, maybe.
Friends is it's actually the first song I wrote as myself, and yeah, it's got Chris Dave on it and Thad on bass and Ruben on keys, and then a really good sax player from LA called Hayley Niswanger, really sick. She went to Berkeley when I was there, and she's like amazing. Yeah, that song's just like, I mean, a lot of the lyrical things in my songs sometimes are quite like vague and kind of like dreamy and visceral. They're not like you could interpret them quite loosely.
Yeah.
Friends though is generally about so I have this thing where I'm constantly feeling a bit let down by my friends, and it's almost like I put too many high expectations on them.
Yeah.
When really they're not meaning to let me down. It's just that I've got really high expectations because I feel that I sometimes do more, and then I don't expect that much back, but I just expect a bit back.
Yeah.
Then when I don't get anything
that
back,
overinvestment, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's kind of like exploring that, because that's something I struggle with. Is I definitely find it hard to say no to stuff, especially like for my friends and stuff, like helping them with things or doing stuff, or like going something, even when I've got a gig and it's just like go to something, I have to move all my stuff around, like, and then like when people when I've got something and then people like just like nah, no, and they say, they're good at saying no.
I know what you mean.
So it's kind of exploring that, but this is my personal issue, so I guess writing a song about it is a way of like dealing with it. It's like a therapy in a sense. But yeah, it's a fun song. Kind of got some weird influences going on in it, like Hall and Oates, Unknown Mortal Orchestra, Daft Punk.
Yeah, shit.
And then like a big guitar solo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what's going on with it. Yeah.
It sounds more relatable when you put it like that, actually. I know exactly what you mean, where it's just like it's setting all those false expectations, and then you'll always be disappointed, won't you?
Yeah.
Until you kind of realign yourself, you're like, actually, you know what? People have their lives going on. They've got whatever.
Yeah, and they don't mean
like if you put context to whatever they're saying, then it doesn't seem as bad as the way you took it to start with.
Yeah, and they're not setting out to be malicious.
No, yeah, that's the main thing.
It's why I don't have birthday parties.
Oh shit!
I never, because this way I avoid disappointment.
Nah, to be fair, I've kind of gotten over birthdays. I used to turn up to work and just not say anything because I thought it was fucking.
It's just easier not to.
Yeah.
It's easier, but yeah,
not to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that one.
Yeah,
that's that tune.
That's cool.
And then after that, there's a tune called Magnetic, which will be out in December with Jay Prince.
Sick.
It's like 1 minute long.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just breaking the rules.
Yeah.
I read that.
No more of these like 3:20 radio ready.
Yeah, this is 1 minute 18.
1 minute 18.
And it's got Ruben, me on bass and guitar, and David Hodek on drums.
What tempo? They're like really fast.
90. It's like a hip hop thing.
Yeah.
You'll see. Sick. It's got really weird chord changes, and the bass is like distorted, playing like a lead line. It's really weird. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
And then after that, in January, I've got a song called O Camino coming out with Simon Jr. featured. It's like a bossa nova hip hop tune.
Yeah.
That's got David Hodek again, me, on synth and guitars and bass, and Andy Bunting on additional synths, and Chris Young on saxophone, and Alex Magni on percussion. And then and then in February there's a song called Sinking that's like no drums. It's like a weird Beach Boys tune. It's like I like pet sounds. So it's like me trying to sing like the Beach Boys, like harmonizing with myself.
They've got the best heart. We were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
Yeah, and it's me trying to do that badly.
Beach Boys over the Beatles.
Thanks, Melodyne. I actually try not to use Melodyne. I just leave my out of tune vocals on. And that's got like me, a really good bass player from LA called Francisco Hayder, a Cuban guy. American Cuban, and Sam Watts, amazing piano player from the UK.
Yeah.
Then Chris Young, Richard Foote, Sam Worcester horn section.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, but Brummy horn section, and who else is there? I think that's it on that one.
Yeah.
And then last is a song called Where Will We Go that features Ruben.
Sick.
And it has Petter Eld, amazing Swedish bass player.
Yeah.
Linda Filomena, amazing German drummer. Magic Malik, an amazing French flautist. Ruben and myself. And the funny thing is I'm playing all the synths and keys on it. Ruben's just singing.
Oh right, okay.
So it's like that kind of feature.
Interesting touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
And that's the EP basically.
Oh, and then it's going to all be like put into one project.
After 6 months.
I mean, you kind of answered our last question there. We always ask what's the next 6 months
coming out.
like,
Yeah, that's the next 6 months, and then another EP after
and
that.
gigs in between. Oh, and another. Oh, nice.
I mean, we've got to wrap it up because we're running out of time. However, just other than singles, gigs, anything else coming up over the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing like a bunch of stuff at NT's Loft in East London.
Oh, sick.
Cool.
That's a really cool thing. It's like quite open.
It's like a jam session.
With really good musicians in the house band.
Yeah.
Got a tour with Ruben in November. Doing Quinn Alton's band.
Oh,
Quinn's
shit,
really. I'm playing with him. I'm doing his stuff. Stuff with Daisy George.
Nice.
Jay Phelps.
Oh.
Doing
Trumpet
Jay's
player,
band at the moment. There's a drummer called Mackwood Ling, Harry Ling, playing in his band. Loads of stuff. Some stuff with Chris. Yeah. And then my stuff. I haven't booked any gig at this point. I haven't booked any future gigs.
Yeah, just focus on the releases.
I'm just but I will.
Yeah.
So by the time this comes out, there'll be something.
Yeah. That's sweet. Well,
busy times then.
Yeah, I guess we can wrap it up there, can't we?
I mean, it'd be cool to go on for longer, but we just can't. Really.
Yeah.
That's all good.
We've run out of time, but just press all them.
Put your YouTuber face on.
Put all the buttons in it, just like subscribe, like all that, in a bit.
I love that.
Nice.